Hello, hello. Welcome to Revolutionize Your Marketing with AI. I'm Rebel Risty, your host, and we're today with Jaymie Tarshis, who is going to talk to us all about how you can be doing ads through Facebook Meta, how AI is helping her and her clients do a better job and get better results. Before we get into all of that, I will let Jaymie introduce herself. So, Jaymie, I'll turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Rebel. I'm excited to have this conversation today. But yes, just a really quick intro into me. So I've been working in the digital marketing space for over 10 years now. Got my start kind of as a little bit of a Jill of all trades type of marketer. I was originally doing a lot of Google ads and then moved into like the social media marketing space. I worked in SEO, kind of just doing like anything and everything that could help people grow their businesses. Until one day I landed upon, I had a client that specifically wanted to use Meta ads to generate more leads for their business. And I didn't really know much about them at the time, but I was like, you know what, let's give it a go. And so we launched a campaign for them. At the time, I think we spent like $500, not a whole lot, but just sort of testing the waters to see how it would work. And within a few weeks, we had generated like 200 plus leads for them off of that $500. So a little over $2 per lead with names, emails, and phone numbers of people. And then a few weeks later after that, their team had called and worked all those leads, and they had closed close to $70,000 in business off of that one campaign. And that was kind of like the light bulb moment for me where I was like, oh, wow, like if I can help people, create results like this quickly, with this small of a budget, I want to try to help as many people do this as I can. And so I kind of just decided at that point that I was going to niche down my services to just really focusing on Meta ads. And since then, I've become known as, the ad expert, the ad girl. And everyone knows that that's kind of just what I do and what I specialize in. And, over the years, I've worked with a variety of different businesses from, the e-commerce space to local businesses. Now I work with a lot of coaches and service providers in the online business space. But I think what that's really just taught me too is that Meta ads can work for anybody. It doesn't matter if you have a big budget or a small budget, and that's kind of why I'm so passionate about it, is because I think it's a tool that really anyone at any stage in business can use to start growing and reaching more of their ideal customers. And so, yeah, that's kind of a little bit of a background to how I got to where I am today.
Good, cool. I love that. And I feel like a lot of us marketers, it's a privilege actually to get to wear a lot of different hats, because then you really do figure out, what am I really good at? What do I enjoy? And then you have a better sense of the world around you, right? Because as we all know, having a specialty is important, but you need to respect what the other marketers around you are doing. So I love that you've had all those different experiences. And thank you for also saying that Meta ads can be really any business can use them, because I was going to say, wow, $500 equaled 70,000. What kind of business is that, that can do that kind of return? That's amazing.
Yeah. No, if you want to know, it's actually like a very niche business too, which is kind of what made me so excited, because I was like, if I can get results for someone so niche and specific, if you have something that really applies to a broader market, like it should only be that much easier, right? But so at the time, it was a company that was selling home affordable float tanks. So if you've heard of the concept of floating and like a sensory deprivation tank, it's become really popular over the years, especially because like Joe Rogan has talked a lot about it. So anything Joe Rogan talks about, becomes a thing. But at the time, it wasn't quite as popular. But this company had just launched on Kickstarter. They did like $300,000 on a Kickstarter launch. And then they just wanted to start selling to more people in the market. And so it was actually for their product. And yeah, it was very unique and niche. But like I said, I think if anything too, that just opened up my eyes to know that, if it can work for them, it can again work for anybody. Especially if, like, I always used to joke that what if you actually had something that people really want, right? Not that people didn't want that, but it was really unknown. And so
Right.
I just think, that's something I get asked a lot too. When I tell people what I do is they're like, oh, well, I'm in a very, very specific industry, or my audience is very niche. Will this still work for me? And I tell them absolutely. In fact, sometimes I feel like it works better because, there's less competition. It's going to just be that much easier to really pinpoint the exact people that you can help or would be interested in what it is that you sell.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I mean, we all know it as business owners and marketers. You're always told that you niche down. It is helpful because then you can narrow down the messaging. You're narrowing down, your ICP, that journey. So I do think that in some ways that's great, if you could find those niches or at least help the client figure out which one to start with. So on that, how do you I guess, start with a client? Like, how do you develop that strategy or that niche for them?
Yeah, definitely. So I kind of have a process that I like to take people through when they're first approaching their meta ads. And that really all starts with identifying a couple of key things. The first is going to be, what is the offer that you're going to sell with your ad? A lot of businesses sell multiple different types of offers. And I think when a lot of businesses approach ads, they just think, I just want to sell anything and everything that I can, right? But what we're offering matters so much because our offers are then going to determine, well, who is this for, right? So that's going to determine our audience. So I always like to get clear on what those two things are first. And I always say, if you sell multiple offers, like look at the one that's already selling the best organically, and really start there, right? If we know something's already working organically, ads should just be adding fuel to that fire. So I like to start by identifying that. And then once we know what the offer is, we can then identify, well, who's the ideal customer for this offer? And again, sometimes you'll have multiple ideal customers, but we like to come down to what's the one. So I always say one offer, one ideal customer, get really clear on who that is. And then from there, what is sort of the journey or the steps that they're going to go through in order to convert once somebody sees your ad? Because the biggest mistake that I think a lot of people make when it comes to ads is they get so focused on the ad itself, right? Like they're so focused on the targeting and what the ad says and the video or the image. And those things are all very important, don't get me wrong. But what's also just as important is where people go after they click on your ad. What does that process look like after they actually leave Meta and go to your website? Right? Because if we don't also account for that step, this is all one big, working system, right? So if we're not accounting for what people do after they leave, if our websites aren't optimized, if we don't have a way to really efficiently capture their email address, if that's our goal, if there's not a lot of customer reviews on your page, if you're trying to do sales, right? All of these things are going to impact the results of our ads. So it's really important to look at all three of those pieces before you even go into writing any ad copy or thinking about targeting or anything. I like to look at the offer, the audience, and the journey that people are going to go through once they click on your ad.
I love that. You are, singing to the choir here because it is so. I feel like that's one of the number one mistakes that I hear a lot of businesses take is that they run all these ads and like, well, it didn't do anything. Yeah, we got a ton of traffic to our website, but we didn't get any leads. And I'm like, well, where did you send them on your website? And just did you provide a reason for them to turn themselves into a lead? So it's just interesting. And I really like your approach because you're thinking about the whole journey and the funnel. And a lot of times I meet advertisers or people who are helping with advertising that are just focused on that first piece, that first step. Get them to click through the ad. Great. Now what?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm so glad that you understand all of this as well. And I'm sure it's something that you hear very commonly from people. And it breaks my heart when someone says, I've spent money on ads and I felt like it was a waste, right? Because that's not a fun experience. That's not going to, make you excited to want to keep investing in them. But most often when I hear that, and then I actually go through and I'm able to look in somebody's account, it's actually that secondary piece, like the funnel that needed a little bit more work, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Your audience really well and you've become really good about talking about your offer, you can probably nail the ad piece like pretty well. But we have to think about, all of those pieces and especially, like something that I'll see a lot is people will send traffic right to their homepage or their website, but their goal was maybe to get leads. And it's like, well, obviously people click to your website. There's so many different places that they can go on your homepage. They're going to get lost, right? So we just want to make it very, very strategic in terms of like, if our goal is to get leads, let's send them to a page where the only option for them to click is to like fill out a form and submit their info, right? We just have to think about that whole picture. And when you do, it's really just going to help set you up for success to where, in most cases you should see some results, even if they're not amazing results right away. You should see some results versus the scenario where people say, I spent money and all I got were clicks and nothing happened.
Yeah. And I just cringe. I'm like, well, where did you send them to? And people are like, my homepage.
Yeah. That's like the worst place to do it, honestly. Like, do not send people to your homepage.
Yeah, but people don't know, right? They just don't know. Yeah. So that's why I love that you're really thinking about the whole funnel and the whole journey. So once you kind of sit down with a client, you figure out their offer, what's the next step? How do you really, and my guess is because a lot of clients have had a bad experience, how do you show them that doing meta ads, Facebook ads actually can work.
Yeah. So once we kind of dial in those few pieces and we know they at least have the right foundation to start running ads, the next thing we'll really look at are their goals. Because also the next question that's typically going to come up from a client is, how much should I spend, right?
Yep.
And there are people out there that will say you need to spend X amount in order to see results, and they'll throw out these numbers that really just don't make any sense to me. And I always say to people, your budget is going to entirely depend on your goals, right? Some people have smaller goals. They might just want to get 10 new leads, right? And some other people are like, I need at least 1,000 new leads in order to see any sort of, real traction in my business. And so clearly depending on that, it's going to change how much you spend. But that's what we like to look at first, is like, what are your goals? And like, we'll typically set like a 30-day goal with a client when they're thinking about running ads. And we say 30 days from now, where do you want to be? How many new leads do you want to have? Or how many new sales do you want to have? And then that sort of allows us to reverse engineer from there what they should be spending and what some of our key performance metrics should be, so that as they go through running that campaign, if whether things are working or not, we have certain metrics that we can measure to determine if we're on track or, if we're seeing the results that we want. So that's going to be the next step. And then once we feel good about that and we have a number that they're like, okay, I feel comfortable spending that. If I achieve this goal, it's going to feel really good and I'm going to want to keep investing in this. Then we'll actually move forward to creating ads for them. But not until we have all the foundational pieces in place first. We know we have a roadmap sort of where we're going. And we've figured out, okay, what makes sense for you? What do you feel comfortable with? What's our timeline? And then we can move forward to actually creating some ads.
I like it. So Meta's changed, obviously, with AI. A lot of things have changed. How has Meta changed and how is it better or not better? I don't know. You tell us.
That's a great question. And I'm so happy that you asked because, all platforms are constantly changing, right? But I would, as someone who's worked in the meta ad space for, going on 10 years now, it's changed so drastically, even in just the last 4 or 5 years. And it's continuing to change. And one of the best changes about that is that they are introducing a lot more features, what they call their Advantage Plus suite, which is really just how they're kind of talking about bringing more AI into their platform. And this is such a great thing because, a lot of the times I think, business owners, why they tend to want to hire an agency or have someone run their ads for them is because they get into the ads manager there and they click around and they start seeing all the buttons and it feels so complex, right?
Yeah. And I'm one of those people. Like you go in back, I'm like, no, no.
Yeah, no, and I totally get it. For anyone that maybe has been in the ad space for a long time, because I know you also have marketers that listen to this podcast. We used to have the Power Editor back in the day, which was this very, very complex platform to set up our ads. And then now it's simplified to just the ads manager. But with that, they're continuing to simplify the ads manager over and over and over again. Every, I feel few months, there's a new update to make it more simple, to just make it easier for the average business owner to run ads. I think one of the best changes is just that they're just trying to simplify the platform so that we as marketers or business owners or whoever's running the ads don't have to do as much work in order to set up the ads and see results, which is a beautiful thing, right? Because if we can do less and get better results, well, that's a winning scenario in my book in every way, right? So it's really great that they're introducing all of this AI into the platform to just make the process of setting up your ads easier, the process of optimizing them easier, so that you just don't have to do quite as much work. And also you don't have to, how I kind of used to look at running ads before is we used to have so much, or we used to have to take so much control over the results of our ads. We had to make sure we were selecting all of the right different settings in there, that we were giving it, perfect copy and perfect images and just accounting for doing so much A/B testing. It was so much control on our end. Now, what Meta actually wants us to do is sort of release a lot of that control to them because their platform's gotten so smart. They're like, let us choose who to show your ad to. Let us maybe enhance your image with music or a little bit of animation or whatever we think is going to help get your ad to convert better. They'll start doing a lot of these things for us now. So we don't have to think as hard or try as hard. And we can sort of give them a little bit more of the reins, and then in return, we actually get better results. So it's been such a cool change to see happening to the platform, and I only anticipate it to continue to evolve in this direction, to where really I think almost any business owner at some point will be able to get on and run their own ads and really see some good results.
That is so exciting. And I have heard that people are getting good results. So you and I had talked earlier that you would give us a little peek on the back end on how to use Meta and how the AI tool's working.
Yeah. Well, let me share my screen and we can actually dive into the back end of the ads manager and give a little visual here.
Hey, that's exciting. I love it when we can, see the magic.
Yes, me too. Okay, I'm gonna just do, let's see, my entire window. It's on our video right now, but I'm gonna switch over here to the ads manager. Oh, awesome. And it's giving me a little pop out where I can still see what's going on with us. So I love this. Okay.
Awesome.
Are you able to see my screen?
I am.
Okay. So I am actually in the back end of the ads manager here. I had started the process of starting a new campaign. And I actually saw this pop-up come up and I was like, oh, this is perfect. I'm going to just leave this for our call. Because it's like actually right here letting us know right away kind of exactly how they're helping us. So you can see right away after I had chosen the objective for my campaign, which is another thing that's changed over the years. There used to be 13 or 15 plus ad objectives. So, even just going to create a campaign, it was like, I don't know, which objective do I choose? There's so many options here. They've simplified it down to 6 and they're so much easier to determine which 6 you would want to use, because now it's like leads, sales, awareness. It just lets you know exactly what it's going to help you do. So it's so much easier to determine, I want to get leads. I'll choose the leads objective, straightforward, right?
Right.
That's what I did. I chose the leads objective. And then when I got in here, it's letting me know, hey, you no longer need to choose a campaign setup. You're starting with Advantage Plus Leads campaign. So Advantage Plus is their suite of different AI features that they're now offering within the ads manager.
And now, do you have to be at a certain level or spend a certain amount to do the Advantage Plus? Or is that available to everybody?
No, it's available to everybody. When they do roll out new features, they do tend to roll them out to people spending more money first, and then over time, everyone gets them. But this has been around for a few years now, and so everybody has access to it.
Awesome. That's
great. So it's just a way of them letting you know, hey, you can kind of, do less here. They're letting you know there's still manual options where you can choose a little bit more of the settings, but you don't have to. We already are sort of taking control here and setting you up for the best chance of success and performance with your campaign, which is awesome.
Awesome.
Anyways, I will exit out of that. So a couple of the ways that they're that they're helping us with AI is the Advantage Plus suite offers different Advantage Plus features in the ad campaign setup. So one of the first things they're going to ask is they have what's called Advantage Budget, where you can choose, do you want to budget at a campaign level or an ad set level? Now I know for some people who maybe don't run ads, this can be a little bit, the lingo here is maybe a little bit confusing. But the only difference really between a campaign or ad sets is, campaign is sort of the higher overarching sort of goal and objective of your campaign. And then within a campaign, you can have multiple ad sets, let's say targeting multiple different audiences. So they're just asking, do you want to budget at a campaign level or an ad set level? With the Advantage Plus, they're typically going to have you budget at the campaign level. And what that's going to help you do is instead of figuring out, hey, maybe I want to spend $10 a day with audience A and $10 a day with audience B, and then maybe only $5 a day with audience C because I don't think it's going to convert as well. We can just give it a $25 a day budget, and then they're actually going to determine across all of those 3 audiences, where should we spend your budget for best results based on your goal, which in this case is leads. So instead of us having to, again, do so much more manual budgeting, we can just say, hey, here's our campaign budget, and then they'll go through the work of deciding where's that best spent on a daily basis, which is great.
Wow. That's just crazy. When I think about, you're A/B testing manually, that's just got to save you so much time. And then you can actually focus on being more creative or strategic. And
absolutely, yeah. Instead of having to get so lost in the weeds here, it's like you said, it just gives us more time to actually focus on what matters. And that's why it's so great.
Amazing.
That's one thing. Now, if I hop into the ad set here, so I'll just click next and we'll go over to the ad set. This is where we're going to choose a little bit more around targeting, what placements we want to run our ad on. And then whenever you're running an ad for like a leads or a sales objective, they're going to ask for like your conversion event, essentially like what type of event do you want to achieve with your ad. That could be, leads, purchases, maybe it's a complete registration if you're running a workshop. It really could be anything. It could even be, engagement on something if that was really your goal. But that's what we kind of choose here at the ad set level. So I'm going to just scroll down to the audience section. So you can see right now they're letting us know the Advantage Plus audience is turned on.
Okay.
And what they're basically saying here is we'll automatically reach people most likely to respond to your ads. So in a lot of cases, what we used to do, back in the days, we would get so specific on our targeting because obviously who you're putting your ad in front of matters a lot to your success, right?
Course.
Well, now Meta's like, hey, we have so much data on our platform. We know our people so well and what they're clicking on and what they care about. They're actually like, we can do the work to show your ad to the right people. And they're going to use certain information such as, what your ad copy says, what your graphic looks like or your video and maybe who that's speaking to. They're even going to look at your landing page that you send people to from the ad. And if they notice in those things, you're talking to moms with children, 3 and below, they're going to know to show your ad to that exact demographic. So not to say you shouldn't ever use targeting options within here, but you'll notice that even when I go to select a targeting option in here, actually I have to now, they make it a little bit harder for you to even really, even choose an audience because they want to just
do it for you.
Take the control
so,
here.
And I think I'm getting the answer. You don't have to put in like you said, moms age, 30 to 40 with kids under 3 or whatever. You don't even have to do any of that anymore.
Yeah, you don't have to. A lot of the bigger advertisers and bigger budget businesses that are running ads, they are just running, this is called broad targeting when you don't put any inputs in. They're just running broad targeting ads and in a lot of cases, that's getting them better results than anything else. And a big part of that too is because in addition to Meta looking at your ad creative and your copy and everything to see who your ad's talking to, they also are collecting data from the Meta Pixel, which is you place on that on your website, and they're collecting data about the people converting on your website. So the more time you run ads and the longer they get to know your business, the more they learn about who the people are that are going to your website. So they're using that information here to automatically target your ads. And so you can see, like, they'll say suggest an audience, like they'll say you can give us a suggestion and we'll use that as a guideline to target, but they're always going to expand outside of that suggestion and target other people so long that they know that those people are likely to respond to your ad.
Interesting. Wow. And then and maybe you'll get to this, you're submitting your ad, your creative, your video, your landing page, and is Meta reviewing it within their platform, or it's going out and like going to your website and doing all of that?
I think it's all done by like bots on their end, but yeah, like basically once you create the ad, they're going to review everything within their platform, but I do believe they have actual bots that will go visit the link that you include on the ad and look at your website, for the purposes of knowing again who your ad is speaking to so they can help you target, but also B, for compliance reasons. They want to make sure that you're not running ads to something that's in violation of one of their policies.
Right.
But yeah, they will go and scan those things. So once you input all of that, that's really what I'd say is the most important thing these days when it comes to reaching the right audience is like when somebody says, I don't feel like I'm getting high quality leads, or I don't feel like the people coming in for my ad are the right people. Most of the time, I'm not going to say it's going to be a targeting issue. I'm going to say it's probably an ad issue where we're not being specific about who we're talking to. We're not using, graphics or videos that are really going to resonate with that person. And we're also probably not doing anything in your ads to repel certain people from clicking your ads, right? Because I think a big part of the job of our ad is not just to attract the right people, but repel the wrong ones. So we can sort of train the algorithm to know who our people are and who should be clicking.
Awesome. This is just so fascinating.
Yeah, it's super cool. And I mean, even as someone who works in this space, it still gets me excited because it just makes it that much easier for everybody. And we're just able to see better results these days without having to do as much. So it's great.
It makes me feel like I could maybe do this. I still feel like I would want you there to make sure we have everything set up correctly.
I
But
still encourage everyone to get some, proper instruction or guidance to at least, learn the process. But it's like once you know that, it's pretty manageable on your own, and a lot more doable than probably how it felt the last time you came in here and you were clicking around, right?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Wow.
So a couple other things. So on placements, you can see their Advantage Plus placements are on. This is also where they're just going to automatically put your ad on all the placements. And then as you run your ad and they notice where people are converting, maybe they see that you're getting really good results on Instagram stories versus in the newsfeed, they're going to automatically show your ad more to the placements where you're getting results, which is awesome because, what we used to do before is we would set up different ad sets to all the different placements to try to sort of manually get our ads shown in certain places and determine where do we get the best results. And now they just, again, do that for us. So I just trust them. And I say, you know what, if you find it's people in stories that are converting, show it on stories. If you find it's people in the Facebook newsfeed, then show it in the Facebook newsfeed. And now they're actually they just opened up placements on Threads, actually. So now you're getting both the Facebook and Instagram platform, but also Threads. So you're getting quite a bit of reach now.
I haven't heard anyone bring up Threads in a while. So it's still a place to advertise and communicate?
Yeah, I don't get on Threads a whole lot myself to just use as a platform, but I have noticed that they've introduced it here into the placements. Now, I can't say at this point I've really seen a lot of my clients spend going there and or results, but I just think that's because it's newer and maybe over time it could grow. I know that it used to be that same way with other placements that they've advertised where, maybe because it was newer, it didn't quite get the traction, but as, time goes on, I can see it maybe being a thing. So it's, regardless, it's just cool that it's an option. And maybe if there is a random, I don't know, niche of people that use Threads, I imagine it's more business owners, but I don't know. That could maybe be a potentially cheaper placement for you to be showing your ad versus, Instagram where it is so saturated. Right. So if that's the case, they'll know and they'll show your ad there, which is awesome.
Got it. Very cool. Just really quick, you had mentioned a lot of times you don't think it's the placement or the audience, it's maybe the offer. Does Meta tell you that, or do you have to figure that out on your own?
Yeah, unfortunately, they don't tell you that.
Okay.
I have a couple of kind of metrics to determine, whether it is an offer issue or not. Some of those being, let's say, I do like to look at the link click-through rate on the ad. So there's click-through rate, and then there's link click-through rate. Link click-through rate is how many people actually click the link on your ad and go to your website. That to me is a really good determining factor of whether you have a good offer as well as whether you have good, ad copy and creative that's getting people to stop and click through. If you don't have a good offer, even if you write the best copy and you've done the work to put together really good creative, people probably just aren't going to click, and you're going to have a really low link click-through rate.
Okay.
So you do have to kind of look at some metrics.
So you still need a human, and that's where really we're working with someone like you. Helps.
Yes, yeah. No, you still do. And I will give people like a little bit of a cheat code around that here, I think in a minute. Because I know when it comes to analyzing metrics and the numbers, like that's where a lot of people really get intimidated too. They're like, I can get this all set up and even figure out the copy, but then they're like, what do I do once it's running? And now I see all these numbers. How do I determine what these mean? And I'll give people a little like hack for that here in a minute. Cool. But the last thing that I just wanted to show you is more at the actual ad level. So yeah, once you select, any sort of targeting suggestions as you will, you can move on to actually creating the ad here. So I'm not going to go through the process of creating a whole ad just for the sake of time. But a couple of things that are awesome is they have this new Advantage Plus creative image generation AI. So they can generate images for you. If you absolutely have no brand assets and you need help with that, they can do that. I haven't used that feature a whole lot at this point just because I personally do like to have a little more control over the creative that I put in. However, what they'll also do with the Advantage Plus creative is, let me see if I can actually Here, I'll upload an image just to see if it will show us it. They'll basically make enhancements to your ad automatically if you allow them to.
Okay.
So some of those enhancements might be adding text to the image. Maybe it's animating the image, adding a little bit of animation. Maybe
Okay.
it's brightening the image just a little bit. If they feel like brightening it will get more clicks. Anything that they think might help improve the performance of it. I think they're always changing it, but there's like, I don't know, 10 or maybe 12 different things that they'll do to help enhance your performance of your ad. So let me
Okay.
see if I can just select one so you can see. Oh, you can see right here. Yeah, here's the enhancements. So if once we go through all of this process, you can see they're going to give us different options for enhancements. I always recommend just leaving these on and not
Okay.
turning them off because they're not, in most cases, going to enhance your image. Like I don't see them going crazy changing the images that I put in for my ads, but I do see them make slight enhancements. And
Okay.
in most cases, those are the campaigns that are performing. So you can see they might make it like a 3D animation. They might add overlay. They might add music. And
Okay.
again, anything that they think might help. So this is just another way to, instead of having to necessarily worry so much about, oh, are you still there, Rebel?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
See me?
Our little window where I could see us talking disappeared. So I was like,
I
did I lose?
know. I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, good. Let's see. Rivers. Okay. It's
Wow, this is really great. I am just amazed
Oh,
that
and
it
sorry,
goes this far.
one last thing here, and then we'll be done with this. But even when it comes
No,
down to the ad copy, it doesn't look like it's doing it for me right now. Sometimes I feel like it will do this automatically and sometimes not. But a lot of the times too, once you put your ad copy in here, let me just do sample copy. Well, they even have a feature where they'll automatically generate new variations of the copy in here while you're creating the ad. It's not showing us right now, but for anyone else that's jumping in here, maybe in the future, you'll probably see this
yeah.
come up where you'll put in a set of ad copy and then it'll give you like 5 different suggestions of other copy to use that,
Huh.
it's not always the best, right? Just like any AI generated copy, you may want to go in and tweak it, but like, does it help
hmm
save time in coming up with a couple of different variations? Absolutely. So
Wow, that's great. This is, I mean, it just seems like a whole different world.
yeah, it's changed a lot. And I'm like, this is why I'm so excited we're having this conversation, is because I don't think a lot of people realize it has. And so maybe they tried ads before and they were like, okay, that was too much, or they maybe had a bad experience working with somebody. And I'm like, if there's a time to come back and try them, it's now. Like now is the time. It's become so much easier. There's so many of these cool tools available to us now. So, we really should take advantage, while it's here and before the market gets even more saturated and more people start doing it.
Yeah, no, this is great. And I feel like, to your previous point when we first started talking, that you don't have to have a huge budget. Maybe it's just test it, try it out, see if you can get, some results. To
Yeah.
me, 500, dollars or 1,000 would be completely worth it to figure out if this is something you could add to your marketing mix and actually have some success with. You've got me thinking
Absolutely.
about it for sure.
Good. Then I'm glad we're having this conversation.
No, this has been great. Well, as all good things, they must come to an end at some point. But I would love to maybe have you get back, and if there's going to be advancements, of course. But in the meantime, if somebody would like to learn more or work with you, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you can visit my website, jamietarshis.com, or find me on Instagram. That's really where I'm hanging out the most. I'm on Instagram at the ad expert. So really easy, simple to
Great
find.
title.
My name isn't as easy to spell, I'll give you that. But you can find me on Instagram, and I'd love to connect with you and chat with you there.
Awesome. Well, Jaymie, thank you so much. This was such a wealth of knowledge, and I feel like you opened my eyes, and I'm sure a lot of people listening and watching this are going to feel the same. It's really amazing that you're allowing us to see kind of the magic on the back end. And yeah, I look forward to connecting some more with you.
Amazing. Thank you, Anne, so much for having me. This was such a fun conversation, and I'm excited for your audience to hear it.
Thanks, Jaymie. And for our audience out there, if you do want to learn more about how you can implement AI in your marketing, whether it's ads or setting up a simple custom GPT to full automations leveraging AI, reach out to Rebel, now Rebel Labs, and we would be happy to show you what we're doing or connect you with partners like Jaymie so that you guys can be revolutionizing your marketing with AI.